Hello, in this episode we're going to do some pre-configuration for DataGuard. In this scenario we have an ASUS2 server and an ASUS3 server. ASUS2 server is our source, and we have a database already created there called SourceDB. And over here we have nothing, but we're going to create a physical standby database using grid control. But before we can do that using grid control, we have some preliminary steps to do on the source database. So let's get started with that. So I'm going to log into the database. Okay, so we can see that the database is not an archive log, force logging is turned off, and flashback on is also turned off. We'll also look at block change tracking. Let's go ahead and look at that too. Select dollar block change tracking. And we can see that it's also disabled. What's required here is that we have to turn on archive log mode and force logging. So these two things. Let's turn on nothing else. But do not turn on flashback and do not turn on block change tracking at this point. Let's do it after the fact because either one can lead to some issues. I've run into issues with those. So let's go ahead and turn on log mode, but we can go ahead and turn on force logging immediately. We say alter database force logging. And we can say that force logging from database, and we can see that it's turned on now. So, but to turn on archive logging, we have to shut down the database and turn it into mount mode. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we can see that the archive log is turned on and the force logging is turned on also. So now also I want to do shadow parameter recovery. We want to make sure that there's enough recovery disk space for, and here there is 5 gigs. Let's make it 10 gigs. So let's do Next, what I want to do is make sure that there are standby redo logs created. So let's go ahead and do that. The way we do that on the source was we say select thread pound star log by thread pound. So in this case, there's only one thread. We have only one instance, and we have 3 redo logs associated with this particular thread. And the recommendation is to have x plus 1 number of standby redo logs. So we're going to create 4, and we need to know the size. So let's do the select bytes log. Now let's go alter database add standby log file thread 1 size 1, 2, 3, 4. So now let's do select thread pound star standby log group by thread pound, and see we have 4 for the standby redo logs. Next, what we want to do is create static listeners. So we do that by running that manager. And we're going to do that both on the source and the target. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is called source db underscore dg@gfl. And the SID in this case is called source db. And we say save. And we do the same thing over here. This one's going to be called target db. So let's make net dr. This seems to be already created. Let's go ahead and check that. All right, so we have already created this, so I don't have to create it again. Next, we need to make sure our TNS names are set up properly, so let's look at that. And we're going to need a target DB. Target DB. This is going to be on ACES 3. Both the source and the target are on both. Lastly, what we want to do is check grid control. So there's a few things we want to check on the grid control side, so let's go there. The first thing I want to do is make sure that the hosts are up and running, and that gives me a good feeling that the agents are also up and running, but let's just check that. So the agents are also up and running, ACES 1, ACES 2, ACES 3. And the other thing we want to do is that there is already an existing database, so let's make sure that that database is there. Source DB is there, and I want to make sure that the monitoring configuration is set up properly, so let's take a look at that. We want to make sure we're using sys here for our monitoring configuration. And that is it for this particular episode. And next we will go and create our standby database using grid control.